Hi, my name's James O'Neill. I'm doing this video from Cornwall, United Kingdom. It's about, it's just coming up to midday or something. Sunday the 15th is it? I'm going to do this video and then upload it while I go for a little walk. Not a long one. Go on the seafront. Cloudy, looks like it's going to rain. Well, it is raining on and off. But I've determined to go out for an hour or so, hour and a half. Walk so far, get wet, come back. And I thought I'll upload this video while I'm doing that. What am I going to call this video? Well, it's either going to be called Jeremy Toobin, Self-Abuse and Football, or something around those three words. So first I'm going to explain who Jeffery Tobin is. Jeffery Tobin is one of those intellectuals that is leading the way for all this shutdown and all that. He's one of those defenders and he's like anti-Trump, he's part of it. He's illegal. He has a column with the New Yorker where he talks about legal stuff, and he was a DA and all that, a district attorney I think, and attorney. He was involved in lots of things, so he's got this reputation. He is a highly respected person of the left. He's got a wife, don't know if he's got kids, lives in New York, part of the New York elite, because he works for the New Yorker, but he gets called on regular by CNN, you know, on legal matters, you know, because he is a respected member of the elite. Well, he's one of these elite who have gone working online. So they don't go into the office, they have Zoom calls. And they're all there, the elite. They do their Zoom calls, their jobs, they're still getting paid. You know, and it's the start of this new normal, this new society, the reset, the reform of society, the new direction, you see, led by the elite. And he was doing a Zoom call at work, and the fucking idiot forgot he was on. He thought he was done, never turned his camera off, and he sat there. Next thing you know, he pulls out his old Joe cock and starts masturbating on the camera, while all his work colleagues are on their Zoom stations in their homes or wherever, their little offices in their house, and they're all watching him masturbate. All that goes with it. I think he even lubed himself up. He was that into it. But he didn't go to like sit on the couch or like go into his bedroom or go in the toilet, you know, lean against the wall over the sink or anything like that. No. Jeffery Toobin, this New York elite person, pulled his todger out while everyone's on Zoom with him and fucking jerked one off. That's who the fucking hell's in charge. These are the people who are like writing the columns and giving you the news, that are fucking telling you what to think. He apologised, but you know, he's been not sure if he's been let go, but he was suspended. So somehow the elite like to fetch the elite back, don't they? You know, they don't like to let them go for any behaviour like that, because soon behaviour like that's going to be normal. Could go on and on about it, but I'm not. So why am I saying Jeffery Toobin? What am I going? Why football? Well, football is a working class thing traditionally, and then the middle class. It's not an elite thing. The elite aren't into football. And I told you a long time ago, a long time ago, on my old channel, my channel that's now suspended, when the fucking lockdown started, I told you football was finished. Because I told you the finances of football are based on the crowd. And if you think TV can finance football 100%, then what's the cost of Sky going to be that will then be passed on to the person who has the Sky football channel? Somewhere, if those players are still going to get that fantastic money, the money has to be passed down the line somewhere, or the cost has to be passed down the line, so that certain people can make a profit, so that players can make those wages, so that people can make the profit from football. All the different groups, TV, owners, the FA, FIFA, UEFA, because they make money off football. They need money within the game so that they can take their cut. FIFA, UEFA, FA, your different leagues, your Premier League. This money doesn't just magically appear. It comes from a working class person, middle class person. Well, if the crowds aren't there, then it has to be passed on to the TV viewer. That's why there's this great effort to keep football going. When it's gone, it's going to come back, yeah, but it won't be the same, because the crowds won't be the same, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have let football go because they've realised they should have been putting the money into the families, etc. Then there's going to be people who've not got the money anymore because their life has totally and utterly crashed. You see, with Jeffery Toobin, is it Jeffery or Jeremy? Jeffery, his life crashed because of his own actions, whereas this country and America and wherever, Australia, people's lives have crashed and trashed because of the actions of the elite, like Jeffery Toobin, who want this new future. The billionaires, social media companies, they want the new future. And football's going to be one of the victims, and the people who watch football are going to be victims. So I'm going to show you a video, and it's from February 2020. So I can't remember, it's that far back. I don't think it's, yeah, it had, hasn't it? February 2020, we were starting to get the information that this COVID that had come out of China, that had been kept quiet before Christmas in 2019. This time last year we were all listening, we were all starting to hear about COVID in China, and nobody, like, there was no panic or nothing, and the Chinese never told the full story of what was going on, and we still never know. And where it came from, they said it came from a live food market in, is it Hanan or something? I can't remember because it's that far back. But the story was, this time last year, that somebody undercooked a bat. That's the story. Let's remember, that is the official story from the elite, like people like Jeffery Toobin and all the others in the mainstream media, that somebody undercooked a bat in this live food market in China. Hunan is it? But they never told us that just 2 miles away there is a Chinese Communist Party state biological warfare centre that deals in manufacturing and creating viruses in case of a war, like anthrax and stuff like that. All the major powers have a stockpile of viruses that they can, like, quickly expand and then release on the enemy. So they never told us that the place where this bat, anyway, getting back to football. So fast forward to February 2020, life is carrying on. We've got the football season, but people are starting to think, and I think it was April 2020 when I made a video saying it's all going to collapse, and I predicted football was going to collapse and everything, because where people gather, a virus can thrive. That is the theory, you see. That's what virus, that's what they tell us. And football matches are places where people can gather. So it was obvious back then it had to go. So anyway, this guy who does videos, Tyrant, he started doing videos. He's like, he does what he does. He did a very good video in Bristol on Saturday where you saw the police doing what they do, and you actually saw them. They parked up on a corner and they were letting people march past, even though there's a law saying no more than 2 people can gather for a protest. So they're letting people go past and past, and all of a sudden, vroom, snatched this bloke out, this elderly guy, because they were waiting for him, because they'd ID'd him with cameras and whatever, and then they'd communicated the information amongst themselves, and then they formed a plan. They were following him. They'll have had a plainclothes officer following him, and then they'll have had all sorts of other ways of watching this one elderly Bristol guy. And then as he passed this street corner ready to cross over, as hundreds of people had already done, and as more people were going to do, they just lunged out, snatched him, grabbed him and run off with him like a snatch squad. and bump, 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 he was off to the van. So he filmed that in Bristol. So he does his bit, this guy. Tyrant TV, I think it is. I'll put you the link below. And one night in February, he went out to watch the crowds at Bristol City Football Stadium. And he's on the far side of the road filming the crowds. And the film starts where a security guard from Bristol City crossed over the road and started challenging him on what he was doing and telling him he couldn't do it. And he resisted this guy's false information. This security guard for Bristol City. And this security guard threatened him with the police. So he said, well, fetch the police, but inform me if you are getting the police, because I don't want to leave the scene and appear as though I am running away, as though I have done something wrong and I'm running away. And you see this discussion, and meanwhile you've got all the people going into the football ground. Now as you're watching them all going into the football ground, you've got to remember, when will that come back? When will that be able to come back? Because they've boxed themselves in a corner. I've told you, coercion. In the last video I talked about coercion. They're talking about Ticketmaster in America. When you book a ticket through Ticketmaster on the internet, you're having to provide proof that you've had a check for COVID, that you are clear, and they won't sell you a ticket unless you provide a certificate saying that you've had the check. But they're also stating that when the vaccine comes in, the rule will change to where you have to provide proof you've had the vaccine before you can go to a concert, before you can see the Fleetwood Mac last world tour or something again, or whatever. You will have to provide a certificate saying that you've been vaccinated, and at the moment you have to provide proof that you have been checked and are COVID clear, which is something you'll have to do on a regular basis. This is going to be a recurring check every 6 months, every 3 months. It will be a cost upon the individual or the nation, taxpayers' money. So he's filming. Anyway, the police turn up, don't they? So these three coppers turn up and they start to intimidate him by encroaching upon his space. And you've got the one who speaks first, but I'll tell you to watch for Murphy. Murphy's the bad one. Murphy is the type of copper who I have said will be attracted to join the police. He's the type of person who will be attracted to join the police as he watches these videos of the police beating up innocent people in London who are protesting against COVID, lockdown and all that. That you are people who will be all for the people, but there will be a section of society, men and women, who are attracted to the power of the police that is being displayed. And Murphy is an example of one of these. He's the middle one, and he's also got the baseball cap on, because that's how he sees himself. That's his image. I'm a baseball cap type of guy, you know, like me with me dodgy geezer that, when I used to have me dodgy geezer that, when I did videos with that. I'm a dodgy geezer, me. I got a baseball cap on. That's fucking Murphy, that is. So what they're doing is they're trying to provoke him, and they're trying to get him, and he won't tell them the name. They know his name anyway because they say it. But they're trying to provoke him and engage him in conversation. And the thing is, when you engage in conversation with a police officer, you incriminate yourself. It doesn't matter what you say. You incriminate yourself because they can twist the words to create a crime or a perception of crime. And then they leave it up to the courts to prove what they've done. So they're provoking him and provoking. I'm going to tell you what they fucking said to him. They're asking him why he's filming, so he said, I'm just filming. So they're going on and on at him. Do you know what this fucking Murphy said? You know, like Sly, he went, they asked him why, so he said, I'm doing it for my own purposes. So then this Murphy says, are you doing it for sexual gratification? Are you getting some sexual gratification out of it? And then another one quickly mentions like these young children in the crowd. That's to try and get him to react, to provoke him. Get him to swear or anything. And 10 out of 10 he didn't react. He wasn't provoked. Well, that's the level, the standard of behaviour of police. That's how they see you, the person. And this is back in February. It's fucking 100 times worse now. They hate Joe Public. They never liked him anyway, because the job brings them into contact with Joe Public, and Joe Public's not that great really, is it? You know? Sometimes I think, is Joe Public worth standing up for? Well, I know they're not, that's why I left Williamshire. And where I am here, it's better for me. There are still dodgy things down here. Joe Public down here is not as good as it. But the thing is, it's different down here because there are other things that overcome living with alongside Joe Public. But the police work with Joe Public, therefore they hate Joe Public. Well, they should be above that, shouldn't they? But they're not, because they're human beings. They are human beings. And this fucking ball of slime, this slime in a uniform, Murphy, all the way through it, he's a fucking horrible, horrible human being. But to go as low as that, to try and provoke you by saying, are you going to go home, watch this video and start wanking over children? You know, you dirty little pervert with your camera and your glasses. You know, we can tell what you are, because we know Joe Public, and you're a pervert, you are. See, that's how low they are. What a fucking disgrace. But it is what it is. What else did I write here? Anyway, so I watched this, and I've told you football is finished, and it's like pubs. They're going to let you go back to football. 1, if you have the test. 2, you consent to track and tracing, so you're being followed, and you can be called in, all that stuff. And then vaccination. They're going to make you have a vaccination to go and watch football. They're going to make you have a vaccination to be a student. They will bring in vaccination to keep your job. And if you don't take the vaccination, you're sacked. And then if you're sacked, you then don't qualify for unemployment benefit, because you brought about your dismissal by your refusal to be vaccinated. I can see that coming. All these things are coming. What can we do about it? Well, not a lot. Yeah, keep the protest up and that. But they want you to do that because that's training. That's training for the new police force in the new age, in the new norm, in the reset world that is coming. The police will be the enforcers. There's a film, Thor Ragnarok, you know, about the gods, Thor and all that. I watched it at the pictures first, 2 years ago or something, 18 months ago, 2 years. I did a video on it on my now suspended channel, and I said Thor Ragnarok, you had the gods there in Ragnarok, Thor, his brother and the family and all that, and these gods have all this power. Well, in Ragnarok they had normal people, and I said, well, why have they got normal people there? Well, they need people to worship them, don't they? So all these people are living this life in Ragnarok, this life with the gods over them, and their role is to worship them and look at them and go, oh, the gods, oh, they're fantastic. Well, in the background in that film are like a military in black with the faces covered in masks. There's a security force in Ragnarok where the gods rule. And I said, well, and in this video I said, well, that's subliminal programming, so that you start to accept this militaristic police force in your life. That's subliminal programming. That police force, that militaristic entity in Ragnarok, where the gods are, is there to keep their eye on the people in case they turn against the gods. Well, that's the police force we've got coming. When you watch this guy from 2020 at a football game, just start thinking about that. Now, what was interesting was an advert came on, and it was Peter Crouch, the friendly face of football, the man that'll keep us interested in football. And he's got that life with his fucking wife. what's her name, who has that spat with another footballer's wife, like Rooney's missus, and all these things, and she's a wag and they're a wag and this and that, and this all keeps you interested in football. So this advert came up for Peter Crouch, and he said, this season football is going to be different. And then he basically goes on about stick with it, you know, we'll get through it together, blah blah blah. No, we're not. The idea for me, my idea is, don't get through it together, let football go. Let it go. Do not put the money into football to keep it going by going to the games. Fair enough, get it on TV and sit in the comfort of your home with your family or a friend, limited number of friends, and do that, yeah. But watch for the cost going up as the person doesn't attend the game. They've got to start changing the system where football becomes more expensive on TV to keep the money flowing towards the footballers, the clubs, the FA, the Premier League, UEFA, FIFA. They have to keep the money flowing to them, so it's going to be you that pays it, and then you'll make your decision when enough is enough. You'll make it when you lose your job, or when you're on restricted hours, or when you're just on 80% of your wage, when you're made redundant. That's when you'll make your decision. It's up to you. But that Murphy, that copper, going on about this ordinary guy, and he tried to provoke him with, you're doing it for your sexual gratification, sir. Hint hint, you'll be going home and wanking over little kids on the other side of the street with the football scarf around the neck. And then you've got Jeffery Toobin, an intellectual, who is working from home on Zoom conference, the future, and then he forgets, he don't turn it off proper, and then he starts masturbating in front of people, his work colleagues, male and female, young and old. This world, you wouldn't have fucking made it up this time last year. What's happening? Things we're seeing, you couldn't have made it up this time last year.